Welcome back to the Heart of Sports. Jeff, we always like these types of stories. Let's bring on Dean Tolson, former NBA player, motivational speaker, and author of the new book, Power Forward: My Journey from Illiterate NBA Player to a Magna Cum Laude Master's Degree. Dean, congratulations on this book, which sounds like a very long journey for you.
40 years, 40 years to be exact.
So, after 40 years now, how does it feel after struggling with illiteracy for so much of your life to be introduced when you do interviews as author of a book?
Well, let me say that I never dreamed of being here right now with all this. It's a shock. But it took so long and so much effort that it's been worth it every step of the way to get here and be able to share this with people where they can benefit from this. That's what you did it for. Well, of course, I did it for me too, my legacy, but I want people to benefit from it.
You know,
So,
we talk to athletes all the time about their legacies, about the things that they do off the court, and how important those things are versus what they do on the court, on the field, on the diamond, whatever sport it is.
Mhm.
The legacy, obviously, you were an NBA and an ABA basketball player, but the legacy is overcoming something that a lot of people don't get to overcome. What was it about you, and what was it about your experience and your history that led you to overcome something that so many other people aren't able to?
One word: failure. After playing at the highest level and at every level throughout your career, high school, college, NBA, and 12 years internationally, at 32 years old, I realized I had failed. That was my
How?
that was my driving force. I mean, you go to somewhere and ask for a job, and you tell them you played in the NBA. You don't have any skills or on the job training for them to hire you. And so what you do is to offset that, you figure out how to go back to school and figure out how you can survive in this society with interacting with people.
you talk about failure as a motivator. And for some people, they might not understand that because they see the success you had as a professional. But
Mhm.
it back steps further, you were kind of passed on because of the talent you had on the court,
Mhm.
not the skills you showed or learned in the classroom. So, can you talk about how you came to grips with that process that passed you along to be able to engage and go back to school yourself?
I got one more word for that. It's called painful.
How so?
Well, imagine being illiterate at 32 years old and going back to a Division I university and having a concentrated uh, effort of studying every night of something that you know absolutely nothing about. And you have to figure it all out and start from the bottom and work your way up for the next 4 years until the day you graduate. You can't even fathom the thought, let alone do it, if you're illiterate.
What made you decide to go back to the same university? You can make the argument, and we've heard this with a lot of athletes. You can make the argument that the system failed you, and yet,
Absolutely.
and I would argue that they did fail you. That they
Absolutely.
and you chose to go back to that same university. What led you to that decision?
Um, Dean Tolson is the leading rebounder and the second leading scorer in the history of the University of Arkansas. 1871. I'm the guy that still got the legacy there. And I want to go back to that university and clean up that mess that I made there. And I cleaned it up in the biggest way possible to a master's degree, magna cum laude.
You know, you talk about reshaping your legacy. Frank Broyles, who was the athletic director, seemed to play a very prominent role for you. That comes through in the book. Can you talk about his influence and his important role in helping you to get where you were?
Well, he approached me and he says, Dean, you was one of those type of players, you probably was the best basketball player that ever played here at the University of Arkansas. And it's just amazing that people, they don't know you. They know of you, but they don't know you. And I says, well, coach, what are you saying? He's saying, I want you to consider going back to this university and overcome the literacy and getting your degree, and we'll pay for it until the day you graduate. And that's how he approached me. And he says, nobody got more rebounds than you. And he said, your legacy's a waste. You're wasting it if you don't overcome this, what happened to you in your life. Then after you overcome it, I'm asking you to take it out of society and give it back to the people. Would you promise me to do that? And I said, sure, coach, you got my solemn promise. I will do the best I can do to graduate and take this back out to the community and the children in America. And that's what I'm doing.
All right. Can we also just talk a little bit about basketball?
Yes.
Just a little bit, because Dean Tolson learned or was motivated to play basketball by Wilt Chamberlain, and got the chance to play with Bill Russell, and was the leading rebounder of a major basketball program university. The art of rebounding, it seems like it's lost now.
Yeah. Well, there's not many Dennis Rodmans left around. And I used to average 30 points a game and 20 rebounds a game. My senior year in high school and my freshman year in college, I averaged 30 and 20. And nobody was putting up those type of numbers in those years, except for Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell. And that's where I got the philosophy for us from them. I'm trying to get, some nights I would grab 30 rebounds at Arkansas in a game. And that was unheard of. And though I knew that those numbers would get me drafted, but I thought I would go higher in the draft than I did, averaging 22.5 points a game and 13.2 rebounds a game. Bobby Portis is the only player that came close to me.
So you get to the NBA with all this talent and everything you've done, and it's overcoming more adversity because you and Coach Russell didn't really see eye to eye. I think the quote
about the philosophy of the game, right?
Yeah, you wanted more of a fast break offense to run, and he wanted something different. I think you said he was the toughest man to work for in show business. Can you talk about the experience there?
Oh man, Bill Russell had an ego bigger than God. Okay. He says, I got 11 NBA championships and you ain't got one. You need to listen or go sit down and shut up.
Did you listen?
No.
Do you wish you had?
That's why I scored 12 points in 60 seconds in an NBA game, and no other man in the history of the NBA has done that but Dean Tolson.
But then he didn't play you. Like you would have those moments and those spurts, and then you wouldn't get the playing time afterwards. How challenging was that for you?
Every moment was that way. If he played me 5 minutes, I had 5 points. If he played me 10 minutes, I had 10 points. If he played me 15 minutes, I had 15 points. If he played me 20 minutes, I had 20 points, and he never let me play beyond 20 points because I would have hit 50 and 60 on people.
So talk about the journey. You when you left college, you were reading at a fifth grade level.
Mm-hmm.
You go through these challenges as a basketball player, and then you find out the NBA isn't where you're going to be, and you're traveling the world. I think you were the international basketball vagabond. Is what I.
Let me help you out with that. It's called the International Vagabond Basketball Bandit.
There you go. Okay,
And a guy in the CBA by the name of Jim Drucker coined me with that phrase because I was just going all over the world trying to find money so I can pay my way through life with houses and cars and lifestyle and money, and help my mom out at every chance I got and that sort of thing. And
In
so,
tra- in traveling the world,
mhm,
what did you learn about yourself, and what did you learn about basketball?
I learned that people are universal in the world, and you don't have to speak their language. You don't have to know their name. You get off the plane. They never see you before. They welcome you into their country. They take you right off the plane and take you to get something to eat. They give you a place to sleep. They pay you for a basketball contract, and they're very kind to you and hospitable because they love the game of basketball. I mean, love, not like.
Mm-hmm.
They love it. When I played in the Philippines, we packed the house every night with 30,000 people, Filipino people. It's the same place that Muhammad Ali fought Joe Frazier in the Thriller in Manila. We packed the house every night.
What what was that like for you to get all of these worldly experiences traveling the globe, but at the same time being frustrated by the fact you were held back by your challenges reading?
I call it forgiveness. I had to forgive the system that we live by, okay, and keep powering forward until I see this day to share it with people so they can understand the benefit of it that it takes to succeed and be successful in their lives. I'm the prime example for kids and what we need today in America.
Yeah,
So
you probably run across kids, teenagers all the time who think that their way out of difficult situations is through sport.
Mhm.
And while it is for such a small number of people in our country, is
Mhm.
it hard for you to get across to some of those kids how important education, how important literacy, how important improving your mind is, even if you do have the physical gifts?
I've done over 300 speeches in 40 years to high schools and colleges and universities across the country. I even done one at the University of Arkansas. And when I did the one at the University of Arkansas, I had did a speech at the middle school called Harrison Middle School in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And there was a little white kid there at that speaking engagement that day that heard my speech, and I talked to 1,500 kids that day. And so when Coach Moore of the University of Arkansas invited me in to speak to his basketball team, after I'd done the speech for the basketball team, that kid that was in the seventh grade at that time stood up and said, I heard the Dean Tolson speech when I was in Harris Middle School, and I heard what he said, and now I have the highest GPA on this basketball team of a 3.9 because I heard what he said in his story about how he told his tale about being illiterate and overcoming illiteracy and graduating from college and then going back and getting a master's. And he says, I'll never forget that my entire life.
What does that mean to you? You put so much effort into this, not just from becoming a professional to becoming the man you are, the education you have, and now you are influencing people who actively will come up to you and tell you that they are successful and in the positions they are because of the work you helped them do, because of the words that you shared. What does that mean to you?
Well, let's take it all the way back to when I was a child, right? Nobody ever sold education as a benefit to me. It was always sold as a myth to me. So I never saw any value in it. Why am I sitting there? My head is hurting. My eyeballs are rolling out of my head. I'm trying to figure this stuff out. I got all this talent. I'm better than the rest of these guys. I can score 30 points a game and 20 rebounds a game against anybody. And I want an opportunity to do that where I don't have to do this stupid crap every day. It was stupid to me as a child. All them kids are studying, and I'm sitting there disrupting the class all day long, where I get sent to the principal's office and get a paddle on the butt for it. That was Dean Tolson, making the teacher cry.
But now the legacy of Dean Tolson is the man who went back and accomplished these degrees and is the motivational speaker and not got all those things for himself, but has now used that platform to influence others. That's often what the part that's missing with people. You know, we do things for ourselves in society, but you've kind of taken it a step further to give back so that people don't have those struggles you've had.
It's called a calling. See, when Frank asked me to do that, after he said, I gave it to you, now you succeeded, now you take it and give it back to them. Well, see, that's a calling because Frank was a racist and he became a born again Christian. And he told me that. And he said, that's why I'm helping you. So you can give it back to the people in America. They need this so badly because they don't understand what you understood about this. For some reason, you understood it, Dean. They don't. And there's millions and millions of kids across this country that will never understand this if you don't get something in front of them.
You know, Dean, you are a pioneer in pushing this and making this an issue and going to high schools and going to colleges. When you see people like LeBron James, who, while he himself did not go to college, is so influential in younger minds and telling them to go to school. When you see somebody like Juwan Howard, who left Michigan early and yet insisted on making sure that he sat on a bus studying and made sure to get his college degree, does it make you proud to see that there are so many people who are now following your footsteps, even though they may not have struggled with literacy, that are making education important and giving that message to the communities they came from?
Yes, I applaud them for their efforts, but I think we're talking about something that's a little deeper in this. We're not just talking education. We're talking underprivileged kids, poverty kids, kids that are at risk, kids that have learning deficiencies and medical issues and going to school hungry. And, you know, that underscores the entire problem, not just learning to read and write. If you read the book, you'll see all of the adversity I overcame. Is that right? When you read that book. Well, tell me how these kids understand how to overcome that type of adversity in their life. They don't know.
No, we
Um,
talk regularly in terms of, when you talk about with NIL and the transfer portal and people moving around. A coach tells a player to sit on the bench and learn, and the next thing they know, they're transferring to another school. So, it's I don't know how you make somebody experience that adversity, to learn from that failure like you're talking about.
Well, how did I do
They have to read your book to find that out. People, people can learn more at
it?
dean.com, and the book is The Power Forward: My Journey from a Literate MBA Player to a Magna Cum Laude Master's Degree.
We talking about motivation and inspiration.
It's a
Okay?
great way.
People, I got a thing called the 50-50 rule. You know what the 50-50 rule is?
We're
Tell me.
about to find out.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna give you the 50-50 rule in education. The system is designed from 1 year old to 18-year old to provide a free education, public education for you as a student. So they did a 50% set up that way. School levy, property taxes, whatever pays for that. Okay. Now, the other 50% is on you, okay, to apply and commit yourself. He just asked me how we gonna do that. Well, if you don't commit and you're not 100% in and you lukewarm and all that, it ain't gonna work out.
Well, Dean Tolson,
You gotta be committed.
thank you so much for being 100% in and the
Yeah,
live.
yeah, I'm 100% in for these kids. That's who I'm 100% in for.
Well, we look forward to continuing following what you're doing, and we wish you the best of luck with the book. Thank you so much for the time today.
Thank you so much as well. I enjoyed both of your commentary.